Strap yourself in. I'm going to tell you the 10 things that I quit to double my revenue and free up my time. You see, I was constantly playing life on hard mode. I thought I had to do it all. I thought being successful was the goal. So I consistently worked enough hours for 2 jobs for years. I put a big burden on my wife, who was homeschooling our girls, and I had additional stress on myself that wasn't even needed. I was constantly distracted when I was with my family, thinking about all the work I had to get done. And then when I was at work, I was feeling guilty for not being with my family. So while I don't have everything all figured out, I have been able to get fulfillment out of life. And it's all because I was able to quit these 10 things. Number 1, quit undervaluing your time. You see, I used to charge by the hour. And I didn't charge enough per hour when I charged by the hour. But then I switched from charging hourly to actually charging based off the value I was providing. Now what's funny is my very first project as a consultant, I was actually creating a 3D train simulator for a company. And I didn't charge for the hour for that one. And just starting out, I really should have. Instead, I said it'll be $1,000. For $1,000, I'm going to create a 3D simulation for you. Now, what they told me originally, it was going to be extremely simple. But then feature creep came in, scope creep came in. They kept talking about all these things they wanted to add. And this is my very first venture into consulting in the late 90s. And before it was all said and done, I was like, I just went to them and I said, there's no way I can do this for less than $10,000. And they agreed, because I was too green to even understand that $1,000 is just like nothing for this. And technically, this should have easily been a $100,000 project. And so they're still getting a good deal with $10,000. So I actually started out trying to do value-based pricing, but I kind of did the wrong thing because I didn't have things in place when I was doing that development work to protect me from changes. But because of that experience, I ended up charging per hour later on, and then not charging high enough per hour, and just doing tons of work and really just barely keeping my head above water. So number 2, the second thing that I quit, and that you need to quit, is quit saying yes to everything. What I realized is when I say yes to something, even by default, I'm actually having to say no to other things. You see, I had a hard time with this. It wasn't until I read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Fantastic book. Until I read that book, I really didn't understand. I never really was just honest with myself of that, like, it's impossible to do everything. For whatever reason, I just thought it should be possible. I should be able to do it. If somebody has a request of me, they need me to do something, I should be able to get that done. I should be able to make it happen. I should be smart enough to figure it out. I should make it work. And I should be efficient enough to make it work in the time frame that's requested of me. But that's not how life works, obviously. And a lot of that was in an employer-employee relationship. And, I was thinking, well, I just need to make sure that I'm providing as much value as I can and doing as good of a job as I can for my employer. And I was asked to do something, I would say yes. Can you do this? Yes, I can. Of course I can. I'm going to make it happen. And then transition into the consulting world, taking on clients that I shouldn't have taken on. So I just stopped saying yes by default. Instead, my default answer is no. And over the years, that's actually bugged my wife some, especially with our girls. She's like, your default answer for everything is no. It's like, well, I just kind of trained myself to do that because so early on I was saying yes to everything. So the third thing you need to quit is quit trading time for money. So I already talked about value-based pricing, and that's part of this, obviously. But another thing you can do is actually productize your service, or at least a portion of it. So for me, since I was doing custom software development, I was able to take common code that I've created for multiple clients and create a core system that I can then build upon. So I had this core system, and so any kind of updates to that, security updates, things of that nature, I just make it in one place. And then all these clients that I had, all the individual code bases just kind of sit on top of this central. So while this itself was not a product that I sold, right? So it wasn't productized from that perspective where I sold it. It was something I could reuse with the services that I did sell. And obviously in different industries, it'll be different. And if you're interested about doing that, I highly suggest you join my challenge. It's called the Work Smarter Challenge. And I talk about productization and how you can productize parts of your service, even if you don't think that you can. Because just about every service-based professional can actually productize part or even a good portion of their service. And so number 3 was I quit trading time for money. So number 4 is I quit working without a plan. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I made sure I knew what I was getting into before I got into it. I would do deep dive discoveries with my clients and actually get paid for that, because there was too many times that I got burned by doing all this work, all this effort, pulling all this information out from the client, helping them get really clear on what they wanted, and working with them for weeks for free before giving the proposal of what I could do for them, and then not going anywhere. So I created a plan and said, well, I'm not going to do that. What I'm doing during these weeks of getting this information out is extremely valuable. It actually helps solidify in their mind what they're trying to accomplish. And so I start working with a plan. And so that was me actually introducing a core offer, if you will. So there's a notion of a core offer and a product maximizer and even a continuity program. So I put all 3 of those things together as a plan. So my core offer was this prototype, basically. It wasn't really a prototype, more like wireframes. So here's a project plan, and kind of a wireframe of this app or this website. Right? So I'd charge typically around $7,000 for that. And it'd take 3 or 4 weeks, meeting a couple days a week for a couple hours each. So that was kind of the core offer. And then my product maximizer was actually my service, where I'd create that custom software for them and be anywhere between $50 to $150 to even $200,000. Okay, so and then I had a continuity program, and the continuity program was pretty much hosting, support, security, maintenance, and that was just a monthly recurring fee. So it's like, hey, we have this custom software for you, but now you're going to need it to constantly be running, constantly be updated. And so I started working with this plan and had this core offer, a profit maximizer. So core offer, profit maximizer, and then a continuity program. 5th thing that I quit was thinking I had to do it all alone. And truth be told, I could do better here. I could offload more than what I'm currently offloading, but I'm working through that, and I'm going to continue to offload things. But even just in systems, not even delegating to individuals, just the systems, in the past, I had a really hard time letting go of money to save time. Because I believed that time was money. I heard over and over again that time is money, time is money. But that's so not true. That's so not true. That's not how the wealthy live. They don't trade their time for money. Poor and middle class people trade their time for money. Rich people don't. They trade money for time. They trade money for time. So you don't have to do it all alone. You can trade some of your money for time by offloading some of the work to people or even to tools. And that's interesting. I don't want to pay $30 a month for this tool. What? It's crazy. So much time wasted. So much productivity lost over the years because I thought I had to do it all alone. And even from a systems perspective, not working smart from the standpoint of, oh, here's some tools I can easily use to make my life a whole lot better. So the 6th thing that I quit was the myth of multitasking. I stopped multitasking. I stopped trying to watch YouTube videos while I was doing some development work. I stopped trying to use my brain in two different ways at the same time. If something requires actual thought from me, you can only you can only do it one time. And I lied to myself for years early on, thinking that I could multitask, thinking I could actually do more than one thing at one time. It's actually impossible to do more than one thing at one time. Yes, I can drive a car and listen to an audiobook. So that's two things at one time. I can do that. That is true. However, when I'm driving, it's mostly on autopilot. Not the car, but me, because I'm going the same place, I know the roads or whatever, and I'm aware enough to not get in accidents and run people off the road, things of that nature, but my focus is actually listening on the audiobook. If somebody runs out in front of me, then my mind shifts to the immediate danger in front of me, and I need to put on brakes, and my focus is now there, and I'm missing what's actually being said on the audiobook. So once things are calmed down again, I actually have to rewind the audiobook in order to hear what was being said. So yes, technically I could drive and listen to audiobook at the same time, but I cannot truly focus on more than one thing at one time. The seventh thing that I quit was I quit underselling my value. So I raised my prices. In fact, I tripled my prices one time. Tripled my prices once. And the world didn't fall apart. Things still worked out just fine. So I stopped undervaluing my expertise and the value that I could bring my clients. And I started communicating my value to my clients so they were actually willing to pay the premium prices because of the value they were getting by working with me. And what's interesting with that is when I did raise my prices, clients started listening to me more because they were paying me more. Versus when I wasn't charging as much, sometimes they take my advice and sometimes they wouldn't. Now the eighth thing that I quit was I actually stopped ignoring the importance of self-care. Now being a guy, I didn't really care a whole lot about self-care. It's like, look, you're just a guy, do what you got to do, it'll be all right. But really, I was sacrificing my health for success, right? So trying to be successful, make money, provide for my family, but I'll deal with my stuff later. If I need to eat unhealthy during this time, I will. If I put on some extra weight, so be it. I'm working. If I stay up late, only get 3 hours of sleep a night for nights on end, so be it. I know it's not great, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So by ignoring self-care, it actually cost me quite a lot over the years that I didn't even understand. I didn't realize. I was not as productive as I could have been if I was more fit. Because once I got more fit, and I'm still working on it, I still got plenty of work to do there. But once I got more fit, I actually had a lot more energy, and I was able to think clearer. So number 9 is I stopped letting clients run my schedule. It used to be I tried to be extremely easy to get along with and left them to clients when we would meet and not schedule things. And it'd just be like, okay, you just let me know. Let me know what works with you because I don't want to bug you. I don't want to bug you, so you just let me know. Right? And it's from this mode of weakness basically, and like I don't want to push too hard because I might lose a sale or they might get mad at me or whatever the case was. And as a result, they could kind of call me whenever, and I would drop whatever and talk to them. So instead, I switched that around. I said, hey, this is the way I work. So when we start working, these are times I'm available. You can pick one of these 3 times. When we meet, this is when we're meeting. Here's the agenda that we're going to have in these meetings. So actually being the consultant, providing more value by actually saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. You can rest easy, client, because as the consultant, I have this process nailed down. I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I can get you the results, follow my process. So by stop letting them run the show and me run the show, I was able to do things on my timetable, be able to split my focus at different times. Sometimes I'd focus on my creator work, and sometimes I'd focus on my conductor work. I have a video about that if you're interested in it, but my creator work was all about getting the actual work done, being in that creative mode, whether it's developing software or creating a proposal, project plan, whatever it was. Versus my conductor mode was, okay, clients, we need to meet. I need to have conversations with you. Need to keep this project moving forward, or need to have basically a sales call, or whatever the case is, or meetings, and conducting business that way. I would split my time between those and batch them. And when I let the clients run the show, my days were all messed up. I would have days where I wasn't able to be productive at all in my creative work because it was just getting chopped up way too much. So by putting those boundaries in place, I was able to be more productive and make my clients happier at the same time. Now, the 10th thing that I quit was I quit feeling guilty when I was working and not with my family. And I stopped feeling distracted when I was with my family thinking about work. And how did I do that? I did that by being present in the moment. So if I decided to spend time with the family, then I'll spend time with the family. Care less what's going on, what work I have left to do, what things I didn't get done, what fires there were, didn't even matter because I was with my family. It took me a long time to do that. And likewise, since I spent that time with my family and was purposeful in that time, being fully present, enjoying that time, then that actually allowed me to be fully present when I was working and no longer feeling guilty that I wasn't with my family, because I spent time with my family and we had a good time. But obviously now it's time I have to work. I have to, actually bring income into this household so we can all live, right? So by being fully present in the moment, I was able to quit feeling guilty when I was working, and I was able to quit feeling distracted when I was with my family. Chances are, if you like this video on the 10 things that I quit to double my revenue and free up a lot of my time, you'll like this next video on how not to run your business on hard mode. So I'll see you in the next video.